Alexandria Ocasio Cortez has upped the ante from going into a group of protesters with Nancy Pelosi's office to now saying or adding her name to essentially the campaign of primarying Democrats. Now, this is interesting, and this has created a bit of a kerfuffle because she hasn't even gotten in office yet. She's still in the elect. And she's saying that some of the other members should be primaried. Here's the thing. She's right. She's cosmically right. Let me show the report first before I give my 2 cents. But from my standpoint, from where I am, from my disposition, everything that she's saying here is absolutely, completely correct. It's what accountability looks like, and it's something that should have taken place 20 years ago. Representative-elect Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Saturday threw her weight behind a new national campaign to mount primaries against incumbent Democrats deemed to be ideologically and demographically out of step with their districts. Right here. This tells you everything. If they are indeed ideologically and demographically out of step with their districts, then who the hell are they representing? Right? I mean, the whole point of them representing their districts is because they're ideologically and demographically in step with their districts. Now, to me, I don't want demographically to mean just somebody who's white or black or Asian, because I think these things extend beyond issues of identity. I mean, a white person can represent you just as well as somebody who's black or Hispanic or Asian. There may be specifics from the standpoint of what they understand in regards to their experience. Fair enough. But let's be clear that a lot of this boils down to issues of class. And somebody who looks like you will sell you out as fast as somebody who does not. White people have been selling white people out for a very long time. Look at the Republican Party. Right here. Long story short, I need you to run for office, Ocasio-Cortez said on Saturday at a video conference call hosted by Justice Democrats as the group launched a campaign dubbed Our Time, hashtag Our Time. Justice Democrats supported Ocasio-Cortez primary against Joe Crowley. All Americans know money in politics is a huge problem, but unfortunately, the way we fix it is by demanding that the incumbents give it up or by running fierce campaigns ourselves. Ocasio added, that's really all we need to do to save this country. That's what it is. And she's right. But I like her boss, her co-founder, or the incoming Congressman Chief of Staff. I like his response. He says, we need new leaders, period, he said on the call. We got to primary some folks. Now, that particular line I like because it puts me in the mind of Obama's line of we tortured some folks. This kind of folksy way in which he's talking about casually breaking and ripping apart other human beings. I like the way he throws that we need to primary some folks. And I would imagine to the chagrin of many Democrats. If you tell me that you're the party that believes in science. Now, personally, I usually look at this through an economic lens, and I say to myself, well, if you're looking out at the sea of people in the public itself, and the average wage is $30,000 a year, you see corporate profits going through the roof, and in seeing corporate profits go through the roof, I look at it through that lens. It's like how all boats aren't rising. Let's put it that way. The majority of people don't have $500 in the bank. You have this issue of people not being able to afford healthcare or going into debt to afford these things, education. And you ask the question, should this be the way things are? And I would argue that there's a better world that's possible, providing the public itself gets a certain consciousness about what's a basic level of subsistence should look like for each of us as an American. But beyond that framework, I mean, because let's be honest, that argument is somewhat subjective depending upon the person and where they are. But the moment that you tell me you're the party that believes in science, let's take that one issue. Ocasio-Cortez makes that point right here, essentially saying no company that gets money from oil and gas, right here, I don't think people who are taking money from oil and gas companies should be drafting climate legislation. The argument is pretty straightforward. The reason that they're getting money, oil and gas, they're going to have a certain interest in preserving the funding source. That funding source would dry up if they started doing legislation against the oil and gas company. They are de facto bribed. They're bribed in the same way when I go and buy herb from somewhere in Washington, D.C. Well, I can't necessarily buy it outright. I have to buy the lollipop. And they give me the herb on the side that I can either determine to accept or not. It's a similar de facto way. You're getting money in campaign donations, and we're supposed to pretend that the campaign donations is not an investment or a bribe into the person. As if the person's has this superhuman character that goes above and beyond the fact that they're getting money in their pockets to behave in particular ways. If the moment that you tell me you're the party that believes in science, and the Republican Party says we don't believe in any of that stuff, so it doesn't really matter to us, fair enough. But you're stuck with it. Meaning, if you say you believe in science, and those same scientists turn around and say there's an asteroid that's going to hit this planet, you've been given a 12-year death sentence. The United Nations, the scientists of the world, has says you have 14 years to fix this planet, to revolutionize how you go about your energy production if you want to maintain life on this planet. One party has completely abdicated the responsibility for society itself and has given itself over wholly, entirely to the rich. Great. So you're supposed to now be the adults in the room. You're supposed to be the party that represents the left. Fair enough. You have a philosophical responsibility to get shit done. And in this case, not let the world tank. Well, how do you have a president that is the god of oil and then have another one who's selling fracking across the world while simultaneously telling me you believe in science? Now, from the standpoint of the public that wants to preserve life on the planet, why wouldn't they rise up in primary incumbents? Meaning, if those incumbents are towing a particular line, why wouldn't the people in the societies themselves rise up and challenge those incumbents? Either they stand the test of that challenge or they don't. It makes all the sense in the world for the people in their particular societies or in their particular districts to ask the question of whether or not the person who is in their office is living up to their philosophical responsibilities in that office. And if they're representing them or representing themselves. You have dollars or pitchforks. I said take the pitchforks out. What she's saying is absolutely right. How on earth can you get any level of representation if there is no accountability in the offices that these people exist in? And yeah, accountability is the ability to rip them out of their office when they're not towing the line. What do we have? The majority of the people on board for Medicare, for expansion of Social Security, and for education. And we have a party that's out of alignment with those aims. Well, time for people running in offices. What she's saying is right. I guess what she's saying is right. That's my point. What she's saying is